Sequels. It's highly debatable whether or not a sequel can live up to or even surpass the original. Many times, sequels are just lazy cash grabs and don't have any real heart to the story. But a good sequel, when done right, can not only build on what's been laid before, but surpass it in many ways. Or it can downright ignore everything entirely and just put something out with no life or passion in it at all and end up being a horrible mistake. Dark Discord is definitely the latter, right? Well, get your kid ass out of here. Hello, I'm Discord J Knight, and I love the story of Dark Discord. In fact, I argue is actually better than the first. That's not easy. Sequels are often never as good as the originals. Often it takes a truly special sequel to not only meet the quality of the first, but surpass it. For example, take The Empire Strikes Back, the way it takes the established characters and not only builds on the world of Star Wars, but also builds on the characters themselves, is pretty much the definition of a good sequel. How to Train Your Dragon 2 does the very same, taking Hiccup in a new place that challenges him and his way of thinking and life as a whole. Or The Lion King 2, yeah, that actually made one of the best. The Lion King is easily one of the best sequels ever produced, and it's a shame that it only ever got a DVD release and never had a chance to make it to the big screen. The story of The Lion King 2 goes as follows. The lions, who are supporters of Scar's reign from the first movie, being wrongly, in my opinion, exiled for their way of thinking, plot their revenge, only for Kovu, a young lion who hopefully will be strong enough to kill Simba, falls in love with his daughter, setting up a Romeo and Juliet scenario where he must choose do what he's been raised to do or choose a better life for himself alongside Simba's daughter, Nala. Similarly, Nala must rethink how she wants to be a ruler. Does she want to wrongfully punish those who don't believe in her way and ostracize them forever? Or can't she have a compassionate heart and look a little deeper into others and find the good in them and not just judge them based on their appearance? The reason I talk about this is because The Lion King 2 is not only one of the best sequels ever, but it's also the basis for Dark of Discord, written by, of course, a Disney fanatic, 2364. If you didn't see my review of another fanfiction called The Mayor Who Became Queen, you may have missed my little speech on how to do a proper story retelling. In short, though, there's a fine line between ripping something off and taking inspiration from another story and adding just enough to make it both unique and different. Disney does a great job at this, and so does Disney Fanatic, often playing a My Little Pony twist and turn to the classic tale. Just like in The Lion King 2, Dark of Discord adds some great world building to the first story that she did, which all sequels should do, but she also adds a lot of character depth to the characters, putting them through challenges that make them rethink their ways of thinking and their way of life in this regard. Dark of Discord is an outstanding piece of literature. Yes, I give it high praise. High praise. Praise that I think it is well deserved. And while, yes, it does have some of arguably the best writing for a sequel ever constructed, it also contains some of the absolute worst garbage in the fandom that the fandom has ever produced. Ouch. Hold on, let me clarify first. I'm pretty sure Disney fans would never see this video, Disney fanatic would never see this video, and probably wouldn't care since it's a fan fiction written long ago by someone who has pretty much moved on from the MLP community and doesn't care about what her haters has to say. To that, I say, hey, you did what 90% of people, what 90% of haters never do. You made your work. Don't let anyone judge it and ruin your accomplishment. Don't let anyone, don't even let my criticism ruin your accomplishment. I'm probably going to get some comments claiming I'm trying to explain her story, to try to mansplain her story. To that regard, I say, if you dare say I'm trying to mansplain them, then you need to grow up and get out of kindergarten. Seriously, like, come on, move on. I'm just stating my opinion in this video, that's all. And in many ways, I love Star of Discord. And in many ways, I do not. It's so amazing how can a story have two polar opposites at the same time. Fantastic plot lines, character growth, and world building all exist, and yet it also contains some of the worst garbage that I've ever seen in the fandom. I don't know how, but Disney fanatics somehow found a way, and to both amazed and at the same time utterly disgust me. But before we talk about the absolute garbage this thing has, and how it could have actually been done way better, let's actually discuss the story, which I refer to as the main plot. Oh, yes, you had to bring that up, G4. Yes, let's discuss the so-called toxic aspects of this series. Many argue that the main plot leaves a lot to be desired in terms of relationship development, and that's a valid argument. They say that's the first time we see the relationship they're arguing, and it's toxic. But in reality, they actually don't argue very much, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. It starts out with... yeah, okay, skip that part. I'm kidding. It actually starts out with a baby shower for a pregnant Fluttershy. As soon as the war breaks, chaos ensues. Seriously, it reminds me of this scene here from Santa Claus. I don't know if that was an inspiration or just a fun coincidence, but yeah, Discord and Fluttershy, they have a baby. Screwball. If you don't know this character, she is a very obscure one-scene character from the premiere of Crazy Discord himself. Actually, that's one thing I love about the fandom. They take these one-off characters like this and make them into masterpieces. I'm not even kidding. Screwball, named after her butt tattoo in this alternate universe, is the child of Fluttershy and Discord. Character-wise, I love how she struggles with being the daughter of Discord. Bullied for it, she's very flawed, she gets mad at the bullies, not necessarily because they're teasing her, but because they're actually teasing her best friend, Tipsy. She's the daughter of another fantastic background character who honestly gets way more love than she honestly deserves, in my opinion. But of course, I'm talking Dirt Beavos or Miss Tipsy. More on her in a sec. The fact is, Screwball is taught right from wrong by her parents, and I love that within the story, she's trying to stand up for what's right, even against her parents. Much like Kira and or Nala in Lion King 2. When she's given the chance to fall into evil ways, she chooses good. She ends off her character in a satisfying and organic way, making her one of my favorite MLP characters. While my character reviews are strictly show-based, and I don't let fandom influence my opinion too much, I must admit, if I were to do a character video on a original character, Screwball would definitely be one of them, especially since in the show, She's just a fanny design character with no dialogue. Fandom has really done a lot with her fanfic, songs, etc., turning her into a masterpiece. Honestly, it's mostly because of Dara Discord that she is such a fantastic character. No joke. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. She was born 9 months, 2 months early because horses actually are pregnant for like 11 months and it's chaotic. It's weird to have her born at 9 months, but obviously she's born at 9 months because it's Discord. I found that really funny. She's born alongside her best friend, Dinky, who is the daughter of Derpy, who I told you we'd get back to. Derpy in the fandom is married to Dr. Rose, and in this universe, the father went through a time vortex. Why? Because it's a fun crossover with Doctor Who and Doctor Who's, a play on Doctor Who. The time traveler, I think that just adds to the fandom's expansion. And I must say, I do enjoy the world building within the Bride Discord universe. It's a lot of fun what they end up doing. Anyway, after she's born, guess what? All the ponies except Twilight, because no one likes grass for some reason, all kids. I was going to say kids, G4. Now you guys know why I don't let G4 really join these videos a lot. He mostly just interrupts me, I swear. Anyway, let's ignore the beat pop for now. We'll get back to that. Later on, the story goes, Screwball is at school one day, plays basketball with some bullies who are teasing her and her friends, only they're the balls. Yeah, she gets angry and literally turns them into basketballs. That's hilarious. But that gets her in trouble, and her mother is not very happy. And so at dinner, she confronts her father, who is laughing it up. And when they actually talk, Discord actually wants... How many times are you going to do that joke, J4? Seriously, I was going to say it's time to actually have a serious conversation, but you had to ruin it with a joke. Thanks, G4. No, seriously though. They talk about the entire issue, and sure, they argue just a little bit. And this is actually the message of the story. I feel everyone thinks that this entire conversation is, oh, them being toxic because they're supposed to be in a loving relationship, but instead they're just constantly arguing with each other. And my response to this is, are you not paying attention to what the actual story is about? It's about family and loving relationships. Yeah, they argue sometimes, but here's the big thing. They always work things through. And I understand the criticism that it shows them arguing for the first time since being together, since getting married. It doesn't give a great look on how they worked together as a parenting couple, but I feel like this argument, while valid, it's surface level and it misses the point entirely. That's the lesson of the story is trying to give you. And while we can debate whether or not this lesson is properly given, I don't see many people bring up that point, that family argues sometimes, but they always work it out. Again, their argument is valid, and I really like what Discord says here. Okay? That's the thing. It's what Discord says here that literally breaks their argument completely, in my opinion. While again, their opinion is valid, I just don't agree with it. While Fluttershy is worried about her daughter's future, Discord tells her that even with his chaotic mind, Screwball has Fluttershy's a good heart, and she won't go down the same dark path that he did. This is a new territory for Discord and Fluttershy, being parents. And I feel like this captures their characters from the show, by the way, not just from the first star of Discord, the first, Bride of Discord, but captures them from the show. I really feel like this is what they would end up being like as a couple. And it also challenges them in a whole different way that tests their relationship, just like any good relationship would, just like any good B plot, just like any good sequel should do. I do think a small scene where they're happier, family, doing something together, maybe somewhere, maybe later on in the B plot. Maybe if the B plot wasn't so bad, and we'll get to that later, then maybe it would kind of diminish some of the whole toxic argument a little bit. Because I'm sorry, here's the thing, guys. Families do argue, but sometimes it's for a good reason. And the thing is, they work it out. They always work out in the end. And I feel like that's something that people are not getting. That the point of this story really, I felt like, was trying to nail down is the fact that while families do argue, they will always work out in the end. It's family after all. The next day, Screwball likes to go off and play in the woods, while there is a changeling boy who shows up wanting to steal her love. Yeah, not what you actually think, okay? And yeah, that is right. We get to meet Mothball. You get it? Screwball, Mothball, they're both balls. Hey, that's the joke that is actually in this. Don't blame me. When Fluttershy, as a good mother, checks on her kid, she finds her gone and goes to wake up her father. Together, they start looking for her in the forest. Discord and Fluttershy go to their daughter, finding her at the same time as a changeling queen, as Chrysalis, the changeling king. A guard who was watching the prince of the changelings reports back to the changeling's mother. Yep, that's right. And shows up at the same time. Yeah, that's right. We have literally the daughter, the son of Chrysalis, and the daughter of Discord. Oh, I don't have much to say about the guards, by the way. They're just entertaining in this. But anyway, this is where things get actually really interesting. And I really like what Disney Fanatic does with this story here. Disney faces off with Chrysalis, telling her in basic terms, "Keep your filthy boy away from my little princess." The queen taunts him about their past and then leaves with her son, leaving the two kids sad that their friend is now gone. Not long after that, the kids meet up and decide to pretend they're not friends but still stick together, which works, and they trick the guards. As for Discord's backstory with Chrysalis, well, it turns out he was friends with her as a kid and had a crush on. Okay, I didn't mention this before in a last review because I hate this ship. I hate that this is even a thing in the fandom or even in this fic. Well, apparently Discord had a crush on Princess Celestia, which makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. Which I'm going to say right now, makes no sense. And I'll tell you why. Discord is attracted to chaos in the comics. He actually likes Cosmos because she is crazy and chaotic. She's Discord's crazy ex-girlfriend because she treated him like trash and was the definition of a toxic relationship. You want to know what a real toxic relationship is like? Don't look at Discord and Fluttershy and Bride Discord. Check out the comics between Discord and his crazy ex-girlfriend. And again, even in that comic, he has almost no relationship with Celestia that isn't just a toxic relationship. Princess Celestia never liked the guy, ever. But in this universe, even though Discord would never be attracted to but in reality, in this story, he was once. So Discord makes fireworks for the ponies. Chrysalis wonders why he's not enjoying the fair with them, and tricks him into going down there and cause a little trouble. Of course, Discord never meant to cause trouble, but he did. He did. And turns out the real reason why he becomes the Lord of Chaos is because Chrysalis had a crush on Discord, and she was jealous when Discord rejected her. So she tried to get him to cause trouble, and it worked. And because Discord was rejected by Celestia, which was actually Chrysalis in disguise, yeah, he turned into the Lord of Chaos. That's the rundown of the story, and yeah, while the whole thing is really interesting, I absolutely hate the implication of Discord ever being with Celestia, ever. Just saying. There's more about Chrysalis as well, becoming the queen of the changelings, ripping our heart because she was rejected, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, it turns out after Chrysalis, due to heartbreak that Discord of all characters, casts a spell so she doesn't have to feel the pain anymore within her heart, or moving her heart, she actually becomes heartless in this, both figuratively and literally. I like the twist, especially since Discord keeps calling the changelings heartless, but I've explained in my Chrysalis video why that is really not the case within the actual show of MLP. Go check that video out for context, by the way. Fast forward a few years to Screwball's 15th birthday, and look, she has a brother now. Okay, I could make another joke here, but let's be professional now. It turns out Screwball has a little secret friend who may be turning into a little bit of a crush after some cute months with her girlfriends. It's the gala, where a mysterious pony shows up to dance with her, much to Discord's overprotective dad dismay. Dun dun dun, it's the changeling boy Mothball. Who would have guessed? He tries to squash him, Discord tries to squash him like the bug he is, but his daughter stops him, letting him go free, leading to a very angry family discussion the next day. I love this scene. I love how his daughter calls Discord out on his hypocrisy for calling Mothball heartless, when it wasn't that long ago people used to call him the exact same thing. It challenges his point of view and his way of thinking, just like all good sequels should do. I also love that right after Fluttershy sits down, hears him out, they actually have a good one-on-one talk. And, you know, they almost kiss at the end even. Again, how is this an actual toxic relationship when we actually see the two sitting down and actually having good, serious conversations and not just arguing and fighting all the time? Yes, it would be nice to see more family moments between them all, but at the same time, this is not really much of a toxic relationship. It actually builds on a very good relationship, and that is the fact that you need to actually have dialogue with your partner. Discord and Fluttershy are working through their issues, talking things out. Yes, some things go too far, but they work it out. Kiss and make up, literally. Okay. What happens next? What happens after that? I can understand why, but we'll get to it. Remember Screwball's best friend, Dinky? Yeah, I like that Dinky is there to support her and cheer her up when things get tough like a real friend should. Dinky is also one of my favorites in this as well. Then there's Mothball. I love his entire journey through this, raised to be this ruthless king, and he slowly falls in love with Screwball because she's the only one who's not trying to change him. She just wants him to be himself. He constantly is challenged by her and himself to be a good guy instead of what Chrysalis wants him to be, which is this ruthless changeling. I also love Chrysalis as a villain. She's manipulative. She manipulates her son telling him that if he wants her to have as a queen, then he just has to do what she tells him, manipulating her own child. She's truly heartless in this, but she has a good reason: the feeling of rejection and never getting over it. She sets up something terrible, turning herself into Scruple's little brother. That's why she actually has a little brother in this. It's not just because we needed another child of Discord and Fluttershy. It's actually a really interesting plot point that they actually use. Chrysalis actually becomes her little brother, draining love from everyone and having a pair of changelings pretend to be Fluttershy, kissing another pony. So she can kiss someone and make Discord very angry. And here's where the whole toxic relationship Fluttershy trust comes up again, right? Discord sees his wife kiss someone else and gets mad, runs away with the kids, and refuses to talk about his issues. And yeah, you can kind of say it's a little toxic, but here's the thing. In reality, this is what someone would actually do. I'm sorry. If I saw my wife, which no, I'm not married, but if I saw my wife kiss somebody or my girlfriend kiss somebody, you think I want to hear him out? No, I want to enrage and then calm down and then come back and have a natural conversation with them. That's what needs to happen. And that's what was going to happen if not for Chrysalis. It's reality. It wasn't her. It was a changeling. Yes, it's a valid criticism that they call this toxic, but I argue against it. You say one changeling, the prince, who is just there, you say we see one changeling and that means it's going to be a big deal. So that means every time someone does something wrong, we're supposed to call them a changeling and punch them? Sounds like a lawsuit waiting to happen. That's the big trick with changelings. You never know when it's a trick. Just because you saw one recent changeling doesn't mean Chrysalis is coming with her entire army. It might just be a teenage boy trying to hook up with his girlfriend. Honestly, seriously, the whole argument that they should have just talked it out and figure out that it was a changeling because they saw one changeling, I think is a very dumb argument. While valid, I do not agree with it because you never know when changelings are going to actually come and be trying to trick you, Honestly, though, the fact remains that changelings are a threat in this and they are coming to uproot the kingdom. So, yeah, everybody is actually right because that's exactly what happens to changelings to come to ruin everything. You can say whatever you want. The Daughter of Discord and Bride of Discord have set the standards. Without a norm, we never see stories like this that go beyond this. Like, for example, The Forest Beast, which is arguably one of the best audio dramas ever made. I did a review for that. Go check it out. Many will argue that Fluttershy, her love for Discord, is the reason she wants to turn him to stone. No. That's not what happens. Fluttershy actually first begs Discord to stand down and talk things through, wondering why he's being so unreasonable. And guess what? It turns out that it's not even him. It's Chrysalis in disguise. Because it's a trick. And no one's aware that the changelings are tricking everyone. And I'm sorry, but if I saw my girlfriend kiss another guy, I would act exactly like Discord. I'm sorry, or my wife. That's exactly what I would do. Seriously. So what does he do? He spends time with his family and tries to ignore the pain of what just happened, pushing aside until his daughter confronts him. On the flip side, Fluttershy sees her husband accuse her of being a traitor and threaten to take over the entire kingdom, even to repopulate the earth, which, yeah, that's terrifying. Don't start that again. We're not doing that joke anymore. Even with all this, she's not rushing to turn Discord to stone. She's staying there, begging him to talk. And Discord is sitting there just staring at her, wondering what's going on. This ties back to the lesson of the show. Good relationships are about communication. Sometimes, even in healthy relationships, feelings get hurt, people get mad, misunderstandings happen, and they don't want to talk immediately, but they always come back later on, calm down, and work things through. That's what you have to do in real relationships. Discord is just confused. If it wasn't for Chrysalis, Discord and Fluttershy would have taught how this is going, this toxic relationship thing. Honestly, this is more realistic than the cliche of everyone smiling happily forever. When people don't talk out problems, they actually fester even worse. And yes, Fluttershy wants to talk to Discord. Discord is hurt, but he wants to talk to her. It was Chrysalis who made things worse. Guys are often like that. People want to argue, but trust me, Discord should have trusted Fluttershy. He should have, and he wanted to. He did. He was just hurt, and that's very realistic. And the first story, Fluttershy does trust Discord. She wants to talk and gets to the bottom of things, just like in Daughter of Discord. So I understand the argument that it's a toxic relationship, but honestly, it's much more nuanced if you're actually paying close attention. And it seems like they just want to look at the surface level tension of it. And then Chrysalis makes her move and kills Fluttershy. Angry at his wife's death, Discord tries to fight Chrysalis, but she gains the upper hand and it's left to the kids. Screwball and Mothball. By the way, Mothball during all of this, while everyone's fighting a changeling army, is actually trying to save Screwball's little brother. I actually love that little detail. Finally, it comes down to love magic. Chrysalis is actually defeated by Screwball and Mothball's love. Of course, because they have to kiss, sending the changelings back, ending on a happy note. It's set for Fluttershy, and we get her funeral and everything. Oh my god, that brought me to tears. At least that's what I would say if they actually end up killing her off. No, we ended up on a happy note. She actually does survive. And honestly, the whole story itself, I would give a 10 out of 10. There's nothing else to say. We're done here. It's fantastic. The whole story, the main plot, fantastic. There is no such thing as a B plot that would drag it down. Okay. We have to talk about the B plot now, which, yeah, that 10 out of 10 doesn't stay. It doesn't stay. Honestly, I can defend Daughter of Discord's main plot, which is the actual story, but I cannot defend the B plot. There is so much I can't stand about the B plot, and I've been avoiding talking about it for a good reason. First, I need to acknowledge I am a story lover. I love writing fanfics myself. I wrote a story called Party of 2 of 5, and it's adorable, it's cute and fun to react, but I hate that story. I hate the fact that I even wrote that story. It's because it has no plots, no lesson, no reason to exist except to be cute. I have other ideas for Fluttercore stories that I could write that are honestly just cute ideas, but after writing that one, and realizing what it truly was, I realized that's not the kind of story I want to write. That's not the type of content I want to actually give to my audience. It was just fangirl, fanboy trash. And so is the B plot of the IO drama. Still, I wrote it. I did write fanboy trash. And I can at least admit that was fanboy trash. There's nothing wrong with stories like that. Plenty of them are just cute with no substance, stories insisting about many relationships, not just Fluttercore. Most of the B plot is just fangirl trash to me. Let's start with the idea of the kids. Remember, they all have kids? Ugh, so many whiny brats just because of Shippy. I'm not even kidding. Fangirl, fanboy trash. Like I said, if I've ever seen it, 90% of these kids add nothing to the story. Okay, Pinky's triplets, they're they're actually there for comedy, and I like that. And I'm fine with them. The Dash's kids are just straight up annoying, constantly arguing. Twilight, who has none, thank God. Applejack and Spike have adopted. That's right. That's the end of the story, right? No, no. You know how I don't like the Applejack and Spike ship. Well, she has a little Draconquist with Spike. Draconquist. Oh yeah, you don't know the Draconquist as yeah. It actually means a dragon pony. That's what Spike and Applejack have. That's what Discord is. A dragon pony. Yeah. Okay. I get it. They're just make-believe characters, so it's okay to exist. But I question why you ever wrote Applejack and Spike together. And worst of all, you gave them kids. You know, it was fine when they adopted, but come on, now you just give them real kids. Come on. Ugh. And they absolutely add nothing to the plots. Okay, it's one thing to add background characters, but it's another one when you try to incorporate them and you really give them absolutely no focus. The tiny bit of focus you do give them only makes them annoying. They don't really add anything to the story. This is a no. Okay? It's gross, disgusting, May don't like it, and as bad as it was in Brian Discord, the relationship between Applejack and Spike is even worse here. I would have been fine if they just adopted, but you made them have a baby. I just want to vomit at the sound of that and all of these characters. And here's the hilarious part. This isn't even the worst part. That's right. Applejack and Spike is not the worst part. Look, I didn't mention it in my Bride of Discord review because it's such a small, stupid little detail that it doesn't really make much of a difference. But here in Bride of Discord, here in Daughter of Discord, it's on full display. Rarity is absolutely awful. And you know what? It's interesting. All these characters are subjective, right? As all art is. My perspective of them may be different from how the show writers perceive them. And that is also going to be different from how someone else perceives them. You can watch the same episode twice and experience two totally different interpretations. What I find fascinating about fan fictions is it actually gives me a glimpse into how different people perceive these characters. My own perception of Applejack is that she is caring and is a family person with a tough exterior. Yes, she can be sweet, but when things get tough, she's the first to fight back. Due to her straightforwardness, she's not the one to talk about romance or does she love stuff. She doesn't have time for that. She needs to focus on feeding her family first, not finding a boyfriend. Rarity, on the other hand, is this generous, overly excited, romantic drama-loving gal who loves gossip and helping her friends. That's how I see her. I love Rarity. In the early episodes, she often notices details others miss, like when she notices Dash was feeling nervous about the big competition. No one else but Rarity noticed that, and she's very perspective. She's very knowledgeable and sees what's going through her friends. And I imagine if Fluttershy would probably have this issue with Discord, she would probably go to Rarity, not Applejack, for quote-unquote love advice. Rarity would freak out, but decide that, okay, let's find someone who could help her, and would probably go to Discord. That's how I see Daughter of Discord actually would be going if I were to write it. For me, that's Rarity. And for some reason, my expectations of Applejack and Rarity are totally flipped. AJ in this is the perfect one, and Rarity is just a straight up jerk. Rarity, on the other hand, can come across as a horrible mother in this. That, despite snooty and more, this is how some people perceive her. This is how the writer, which obviously is Disney Fnac, sees Rarity. I don't see that. I don't see Rarity in that light. I see her as a flawed but generally good, generous person. But it's interesting to see how others perceive her, especially through the lens of their own writing. However, I have to admit that in this fic, Rarity annoys me insanely. And her husband, who is depicted as a fancy Mr. Fancy Pants, is also a bad father. And going on a lunch meme with his ex and making his daughter more focused on hair and makeup, and her family, her daughter is snooty, more concerned with appearance than her family, and her father is absent. This is a toxic relationship. Everyone wants to say Flurcore is a toxic relationship. No. Rarity and Fancy Pants in this is a toxic relationship, and I hate it. I think the story attempt to show the importance of family communication is there, and this is a nice, reflection of that, of what not to do versus what you should do, which is, of course, the Flurcore point. But at the same time, it could have been way more effective if this B plot was just changed up a little. I don't like any part of this part. Next, I must address another subplot that could have been completely removed without affecting the main story at all. And it might get me into trouble. So let me clarify something before I do. First off, yes, I am 100% straight. Trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. I don't care about gay characters or straight characters. I care about good stories and good development. If a character is gay, guess what? I don't care. As long as the story is good, I'm probably going to like it. Like, I love these two and Invincible, their story of connection despite being torn apart and turned into a robot. It's just amazing. I also love the Knights from Pneumonia, how their feelings benefit the story and tells a good story. That's the thing. A good romance should always add to the plot. In my opinion, it should never be a hindrance. Okay, so it's about this character named Mouthwash, and apparently she has a crush on Dash's kid. She wants to tell her how she feels, but of course the whole situation there is, Dash's kid is friends with Screwball, and Mouthwash is scared of Screwball, apparently, because obviously Screwball has crazy powers, and she's scared of that. So it becomes this big thing that at the end, there is no grand conclusion to this at all. They just make up at the end. It feels like a subplot added just to fill space rather than be a meaningful part of the story. However, I think it could have been improved. Like, hear me out on this. During the big fight with Chrysalis, when Chrysalis is about to hurt Dash's kids, and Mouthwash sees that, she sees the love of her life being hurt by Chrysalis. Despite the scary magic, if she stands up and tries to sacrifice herself or defend her, her honor, the love of her life, that would have honestly been a great ending to the subplot. That would have actually elevated the story, that subplot so much. But because they really gave absolutely no focus on it at all, it just feels like a waste of time. It really does. And that's why I do not like that part of the relationship at all. That's just my feelings on it. So in conclusion, Daughter of Discord is just a big mixed bag. It features some of the best sequel storytelling techniques and character moments, but also contains significant flaws and questionable choices, especially in the B-plot section. Despite the flaws, though, I give it, honestly, because of the main plot of the story, I gave the main plot of the story 8 out of 10. And 8 out of 10 is a really good grade for this, I feel like. A testament to the talent behind it. It's a story that both amazes me and disappoints me in many ways. But ultimately, it's a love letter to My Little Pony. It's a love letter to the fandom and storytelling. And that is what I think about the Daughter of Discord. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. And with that said, like, share, subscribe, and don't forget, my friends, love, family, and friendship is magic.